Hi everyone, I'm making reviews today, the day after Christmas, 26th of December. I'm making reviews today of things that failed this year. I want to clean it up and get it, before the next series of videos that I make. I want to correct the mistakes of the technical end of my videos. My name is Raza von Werder, Guru Raza from the University of Mother God Church. And I want to clean up the things that were defected, the videos that were defected, so I took them down, and the videos that would not, the files that would not upload, get that over with, and then go to the next phase of whatever I want to talk about. Okay, so one of the things that wouldn't upload was about abusers. The good of abuse, how it can make you strong. Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor, blessed are the persecuted for my sake." Then there's another concept that I want to talk about. What is non-duality? That's a Hindu term. That's a yoga Hindu term, non-duality, which I entered into in order to escape from my memories and my hauntings, the haunting of my family. Post-traumatic stress disorder ends with non-duality. Here's the qualities of non-duality that I was told by Swami Ji before I entered into it. 2 years before I entered into it, she was my guru for a while. You are not moved to pray anymore. That shocked me. Your suffering must end. That shocked me. Your family will fade away like it happened to someone else. That surprised me. In non-duality, you and God are one, a new state. You are aware all the time that you are one with God, that there is no difference between you and God. In other words, you're spirit. You're not talking about, I am the absolute God who created the universe. I did not create infinity, in other words, but you're one in the spirit. So you are God on earth. And if you're aware of it, if you have reached the height of consciousness like that and the height of holiness, it is true. It is a fact. Like Jesus could say he was God. He said to the disciples, who do people say I am? And they all said, one said this, one said that, one said that. And then Peter jumped up and said, you are the Messiah, which was a great, great, great title. And Jesus said, the Holy Spirit told you that. The Holy Spirit spoke through you. And then part 2 was not so good. Part 2, Jesus says that he would be arrested, nailed to the cross, and die, etc., etc. And Peter jumped up, no, 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 not you, Lord. And then he says, get behind me, Satan. He says, the devil made you say that. Because Jesus knew what he had to do to save souls, see? Okay, so now, once you reach the state of non-duality, you end, or you deviate, let's say deviate, from the path of renunciation. See, Jesus came to earth to teach renunciation, poverty, chastity, obedience. His whole life was a life of poverty. It's not that poverty is not just that you got to be so poor you can't pay your bills, you can't take care of your life, you're destitute, you're a bum, you're homeless, you're in the street, you're living under a bridge. That's not the real meaning of poverty. Poverty is modesty. It's like you don't live for things, you don't live for status, you don't live for human love. You are detached. You are attached to God. You are attached vertically to God, where God is inside of yourself and in the heavens. And you are not horizontally attached to people and things in the flesh of the world. You're not attached. And that is poverty of spirit. And many of these people don't have a lot of money. Jesus never had a lot of money. He was born in a cave, his bed was a trough, a feeding trough. He slept on straw with a cover that his mother put him in. But then again, the 3 wise men came and gave the parents gold, frankincense, and myrrh, which were precious and valuable, so suddenly they were rich, you know. But Jesus was never attached to anything of the world. That's poverty. And he also suffered, and suffering is poverty. He was also persecuted, and that's a type of poverty. Persecution is a type of poverty. You're poor because you don't have, you know, the consent of the people. You don't have the big status. In some ways, he had a big status. A lot of people adored him and worshipped him, but most people were indifferent. And then there were many people, many people who hated him to the point of killing him. So that's a type of poverty. It's being poor. He didn't live in comfort and luxury and safety and security. He lived in danger, great danger. Okay, so when you enter into this state called non-duality, which I'm in, I entered it in 2007, February, I believe it was February 2007. Then, when you're aware, always aware that you and God are one, when you are enjoying life, it's God lives through you. It's a state in yoga called LEELA or LILA. L-E-E-L-A or L-I-L-A. LEELA or LILA. So when I dance, God is dancing through me. When I have sex now, God is having sex through me. Now, I was celibate for 30 years. And so that was the path of renouncing pleasures. But now I came back and God told me to stop suffering. You see, that's a different state. And I couldn't understand it because I only knew the way of Jesus Christ. I didn't know any other way. And so when this guru, Swamiji, told me, you're not going to suffer anymore, I go, I can't live that way. I can't help others unless I suffer. She said, no, not if you want to enter non-duality. You're not going to suffer anymore. Well, that is like Jesus after his resurrection. And when after his resurrection, he sent the Holy Spirit to the disciples. And in yoga, it's explained a different way. You know that you and God are one, and God lives through you, works through you, thinks through you, enjoys life through you, dances through you, makes love through you. Whatever you are going to do, and there won't be any sins. There will be no sins. And sex is not a sin, okay? Sex is not a sin. So if you make love, it's not a sin, it's God. But before, when you didn't know, you thought it was a sin, you felt guilty. Even though it's not a sin, you felt guilty. See, there's a big difference. Okay, Jesus and Mary encouraged me to move into yoga for a new vision. I had gotten all I could from the Catholic Church. I had received the interior divine stigmata. I had seen God face to face twice. I had been to the other side. Been there, not just seen it. Been there. I was actually there with my mind and my senses. Non-duality is a new state of consciousness. I remember the one dream where Jesus and Mary appeared to me. I was standing, there was a church service in a corner, a small room. It was in a corner, which is the cross, which corners mean cross, the cross, crucifixion, renunciation, and there were no windows, and there was a priest there with about 30 people listening to his sermon or mass or whatever. I was going to go in there, and suddenly Jesus and Mary walked by me in the hallway, and they called me. They said, come here, don't go in there now, come here. And they took me to a different room, and they showed me a painting of nature. They wanted me to go back into another type of religion now. I was done. See, I was done with the Catholic Church. It was over. I had received whatever that I could receive from the Catholic Church. I couldn't go any further. It was like no windows. It was closed, see. So then Jesus and Mary showed me, move on. You've got to move on. And so that was the beginning of non-duality, finishing the discipline and the practice of the Catholic faith, which the Catholic faith will always be a part of me. Jesus and Mary will always be a part of me. The saints, the graces, the gifts they gave me, they will always be a part of me. But now I had to move on, receive new gifts, new lights, new visions. So Jesus showed me how to receive persecution and survive and succeed. And now it was time to move to another vision. And that was the vision of non-duality, where Catholics are never, even stigmatists, you never, when I read them, and I read all these great stigmatic saints like Saint Padre Pio never said he was one with God, or that he and God were one, or that he was like God, or that he was like Jesus. He never said that, because they're not allowed to say that, and they're not allowed to believe that, although it's true. Jesus knew he was one with God, but all the saints of the Catholic Church are taught that nobody's like Jesus, nobody's like God. You know, it's the letter of the law. You know, they're like the Pharisees. The average, even, you know, the Catholic Church is teaching us the same things that the Pharisees taught back in the day. You know, go by the letter of the law. Don't go. They're limited. They're limited. They don't see an individual, except one individual, Jesus Christ. But all the great souls that are one with God are another Christ, or another Buddha, or another great avatar. All the great souls are one with God. And I'm talking great souls, not religious creeps, not people who crucify and persecute others like Pharisees, religious people who judge others and condemn others and think they're holier than thou. Not that at all, not that at all. All right, to be continued. And this has been about abuse and abusers and about non-duality. See you next